What is up, guys? Welcome, Crypto FUD. Well, let's jump right into this, guys. Welcome. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a great day today. I hope if you have the Monday blues, this market is waking you up. If we keep running this way, maybe soon you won't even have to wake up on Mondays anymore. What's going on, TJ? What's going on, bro? I missed you on the, no Diddy on that one, but we missed you on the member stream yesterday. We had a good stream. No trenches, but we covered a lot of good stuff if you want to check it out if you haven't already. If you haven't already. Oh, nice. Hell yeah. We'll probably be going to the trenches tonight, if not multiple times this week for sure. So definitely. Flip, what's going on, brother? What's going on, bro? Good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. It is a good Monday. It's a good Monday, guys. Let's just jump right into this. I'm sure everybody will start trickling in. So right now, Bitcoin sitting around 119,100, looking absolutely fantastic. We saw a nice little bounce as of this morning or late last night. I don't remember exactly when it started, but we had a nice little bounce. We dropped down to about 116.5. Nice little consolidation, right? Nice little drop down right before the futures and markets open up for this morning. You can see that 116.5, we obviously have already jumped up to about 119.7 as of just a few minutes ago. So Bitcoin having a nice bounce from this weekend's consolidation. We talked about this on the stream yesterday. We talked about this on the Discord. This past weekend was nothing but bullish, right? It was pretty boring as far as for Bitcoin. Ethereum has been doing absolutely amazing, but Bitcoin just been consolidating, right? But consolidating at such a high level that this next leg up for Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if we break 125, we start getting close to 130 potentially. When is it going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine, right? I think right now what we're having is we're in the Ethereum show now, right? Remember the last few months it's been nothing but the Bitcoin show. Now we're in the Ethereum show. We're going to pull up Ethereum's chart here, but big thing that we've been focusing on, right, is dominance. Dominance is continuously dropping as we speak. We're at about 60.64% as of now. We're in a beautiful spot. We need dominance to drop down a lot more, right? As you start to see Bitcoin dominance drop, doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin's price is going to drop with it. It just means that money is starting to flow in different sectors. Institution money is starting to go into Ethereum and potentially into Solana and XRP. And you're going to start seeing a lot of these smaller cap projects finally get some exposure, finally get some movement. Obviously, we've been seeing that for the past week, but we haven't even really started yet. So with dominance dropping, looking good. A big area that I am waiting for, right? A big area that I am really waiting for is this basically 60%, right? Or really where I have marked is this 59. Well, you know what? Let me just move it up just a tad bit. It's like literally, it's a spot where we basically have hit our head plenty of times on the way up. I think we're going to have some support on dominance at this area. This is basically around the 59.9 area, or just to call it, to make it easy, around that 60% on dominance is going to be a big spot that I think we're going to have, some support. And unfortunately, right, we don't want support around there, but it's probably most likely going to come down and maybe bounce maybe once or twice before it finally starts dropping from there on. But I think once we break below the 60% level, that is when you're going to see Ethereum well above $4,000 again, right? You're going to probably see Ethereum creeping up to all-time highs, right? And this all could be happening at a very short time, right? At a very short time. We've covered it. We're going to talk about this a little bit more, but we covered this 2 weeks ago. I sound the alarm when Ethereum was at $2,500, and I showed you institutions are starting to focus on Ethereum, right? They're still all in on Bitcoin, but they're focusing on Ethereum now, right? And the reason is because Ethereum has been sitting dormant for so long. A lot of institutions are looking for Ethereum to build on as far as with their DeFi and the ecosystem, right? On top of that, you have a lot of things going on with these bills getting passed that are going to be basically putting a lot of shine on a project like Ethereum, XRP, and even Solana. I think Solana's been doing great. Right now it's at 192. I think Solana is going to start waking up really and start melting faces here coming up soon. But for right now, we're seeing a lot of money coming straight in to Ethereum particularly. And we're going to pull up Ethereum's chart here in a second. So for Bitcoin right now, you can see there is a big area. This 118.9 area is a big spot that we're going to have as some resistance. We just broke above, but very briefly, candle wick, but not the candlestick. So you can see we had a nice little move up to about 119 before getting rejected as of now. The stock market looking great. S&P looking like she wants to break some new all-time highs, up about 0.5%. NASDAQ's up about 0.6%. Dow Jones is up 0.25%. You can see the dollar is starting to come down as well, down about 0.5%. Gold actually is not doing bad today, up 1%. Silver, about 2%. Oil is down 1.3%. It's like everything that we need is happening now, right? It's all happening. It just seems too good to be true as of now. Looking at the crypto bubbles for today, you guys can see across the board, we're seeing some solid moves right now. Gina, what's going on, girl? CFX, I don't know what this is. Conflux, I feel like I've seen it before. I really don't know what it is, but it's up about 40% for today. Caspa, look at that. All my Caspa people, nice 15% jump. Jasmy's freaking up over 15% right now. We have Dogecoin. Dogecoin's been doing absolutely crazy. WIF up about 8% as well. Trump coin, I didn't even know this thing was still moving, up about 9%. We have Jupiter, which is a swap for Solana, up 8%. Uniswap, which is on Ethereum, up 6%. Athena, big Ethereum project, right? Up about 8%. We have Bunk, ADA, 6%. Can go across the board right now, but you get the gist. Everything is looking fantastic right now for alts. Right now, alts are looking absolutely fantastic right now, and it's a good time to be alive. It really is. It's a good time to be alive. Let's pull up the Ethereum chart, and let's talk about a couple things here, because right now, main focus is on Ethereum, right? Even if you're not invested in Ethereum, this is the main focus for right now, given that we want to see Ethereum break certain levels, and when she does break these certain levels, this is going to send your alts and your meme coins. Yeah, your meme coins that have been kind of sitting around, not really doing too much, they are going to come alive like you've never seen before. And your portfolio is going to probably jump up like you've never seen before. And you're going to be flipping out like, oh my God, I'm finally in the green. I woke up this morning and I pulled up one of my portfolios and I was like, holy crap. I was like, I have a lot in there as far as like a certain meme coins and certain projects. Really, my ZBEC, which we're gonna talk about ZBEC here in a minute, and a couple one other meme coin that I have in there. And I was like, hell yeah! Like I've been just slowly but surely buying, especially in the last few weeks while ZBEC was down, and my other project, my meme coin Mask that's on Solana, I've been accumulating like crazy on that. Gotta hydrate. Just got home from the gym. So a couple levels that we're looking for on Ethereum, right? And if you can see, I have altcoin season labeled up here. This is basically what you're going to be. This is it right here. Listen to what I got to say here, right? If and when, but I have to say the if, but we know it's going to happen, right? When Ethereum breaks this $4,100 level, right? It's going to have hell. It's going to have hell because there's going to be a lot of resistance. If you can see, let me pull out my little marker here. If you can see, we've broke above 1, 2, 3 times, right? And this is in the last year and a half. We've come up, and every time we've come up to this level, we've been rejected, right? So this is going to be a key level that we need to not only we need to come up and we need to test it, but we need to break above it. And I think it's gonna take a little effort. It's gonna take a lot of liquidity, right? A lot of liquidity. But I think this time around, we're starting to see it. And I'm gonna explain why I think this time around is different than these other 3 times that we had. So first, This time around, this was back, at the beginning of 2024, we had a nice little run up to about 4,100 for Ethereum. We actually found support above the 236. This 236 level, I've been talking about it for a while, is around the 3,700. You can see we found support and we came up and we basically tested the area, but we couldn't break above, right? Oops. Move over here. I don't know what I just moved on my chart, but I'll find it in a minute. Move over here again, right? We run up, we find some support. This is on the daily. We find some support on the 236. We run up and test the 4,100. Couldn't break above, right? We came back again on a double top this situation, but could not break above, right? What are we doing now? We're running up. Massive green candles. These are for the daily. If you can see, Ethereum for the last 2 weeks has just been ripping. But what have we done now? We found support at the 236 at 3,700. Where do you think we're going now? We're going to be heading up to 4,100 here soon. Could be within the next day. Could be today. Maybe this week. We don't know exactly when. We're going to talk about a couple of macro things that we do have for tomorrow. But the point of what I'm getting to is we're going to be, in these next few days, in this next week or two, we're going to at some point come up to retest this 4,100 level. It's going to probably take us a few times. And we're going to know if we're hovering around this area and we just keep retesting this area, that we're going to break or not. If we come up, we hit it, and we get rejected, we could still be fine, right? As long as we have this support on the 236, but we don't want to keep retesting the 236, right? We don't want to keep coming down and basically retesting this 3,700 area over and over and over, because eventually that's going to break to the downside, right? So what we want is the complete opposite. We want us to at least come up and keep retesting this 4,100 area. If it takes 2, 3, 4 times, it doesn't matter. As long as we're retesting that area, that's going to give us that confirmation that Ethereum is ready to break above. Other than that, breaking above is just one key metric. The other one's going to be finding support above this 4,100 area. If we can get those two things cooking, like I said, your favorite altcoin, your favorite meme coin is going to absolutely run. Absolutely run. There's no question about it. Some projects are going to obviously do a lot better than others, but it doesn't matter. You're going to see a lot of money, a lot of liquidity just flying into the altcoin sector. And what money is it going to be? We talked about this yesterday on the members only stream. It's going to be retail. It's going to be 90% retail just FOMOing in, right? Buying meme coins, buying freaking Solana, buying into on Ethereum, buying XRP, right? This is what we're going to see. We're going to see probably an influx of probably $1 trillion, if not more. And I'm not saying only $1 trillion. I'm saying this first big massive wave, we're probably going to see hundreds of billions to potentially trillions of dollars come flowing in to the altcoin sector, right? And while that's happening, dominance is going to continue to drop as far as with Bitcoin. Bitcoin will probably still do very well, right? And Bitcoin will probably continue to slowly move up, if not consolidate where it's at. We talked about this yesterday for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at a level now at $118,000, right? That it can consolidate where it's at for a little while and still be perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. And the rest of the market can absolutely go crazy, right? We're not at 60,000. We're not at 70,000. We're not at 50K. We're not at 80K. We're not at 105 anymore. We're at $118,000 Bitcoin. We have hit a level that Bitcoin can easily just basically chill for the next few weeks, if not month or two, stay around these levels, and Ethereum can absolutely run the show, right? And we've seen this happen plenty of times back. You go back to 2021, you go back to 2017, you go back to these 4-year cycles, and that's exactly what we saw at these times, right? Where Bitcoin's show went on for a while, and then eventually the show got, transferred over to Ethereum and the alt sector. And that's pretty much what it looks like we've already started, and what we haven't even really dove in all the way yet. Like, this is just the beginning stages. This is just the opening act for a lot of this stuff for altcoins. So Manny said, are we due to pull back for Ethereum from 4K or not? I mean, it easily could happen, bro, right? I would always expect a pullback, right? I would always expect a pullback, no matter how bullish the market is, no matter how much we're running, there's always going to be pullbacks, right? We talked about this. I don't mean to keep referring to our member stream, but we covered this in depth last night because as far as with our member streams, we're planning for that exit liquidity to come in, right? And we pretty much mapped out what we think is going to happen. Obviously we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but mapping out exit liquidity. And a big thing that we talked about was that there's going to be pullbacks in the mix of us running, right? There's always going to be, right? I pulled up, other times during the 4-year cycles because I still do believe, until proven wrong, that we're most likely still in this 4-year cycle. Everything's going to be, different as far as timelines and when we actually top out and stuff like that. But when you go back 4 years, when you go back 8 years, everything seems to be very similar, right? And we talked about, Bitcoin 2021 and July started ripping, right? And then sometime in September, Bitcoin actually dropped 25%. One more small little drop before making a massive rip to all-time highs. And Ethereum did the same exact thing. Ethereum had a drop down about 28% on the exact time frame, right? And then from there on, about the third week of September, we started on the rip, and that's when altcoin season officially commenced in all due reality. So to answer your question, definitely I would always expect some kind of a pullback. We could easily, we could be running and, maybe Ethereum gets rejected at 4K and it needs to come back to retest some certain levels, which is perfectly fine. I will say if we run up to this 4,100, I wouldn't expect a pullback to the I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the pullback from maybe 4,100 back to the 236, somewhere around that 37. In that case, that would be probably the most bullish situation because you guys already know if we can have support above the 236, we're basically the show's still on and popping pretty much, right? We're still beautifully at a position where we could easily run right back up to that 4,100 and keep retesting that level. Now, if we break below the 236, we could find support on this trend line, right? Remember, this trend line was a trend line that we've had since these all-time highs back in 2021 for Ethereum. We could easily, run up to 4,100. Maybe we break the 236, but we find support on the trend line. Trend line's around 3,600, right? We've been talking about that for a while. That's another bullish scenario, right? So I always expect a pullback, especially if we continue to see like massive rips in the market where, let's just say today Ethereum just runs up to 4,100. There's most definitely going to be a pullback, right? Because Ethereum, any project moving up that fast, so quick, people are going to take profits, right? So Gina said, go ETH. Flip said, last night's member stream was excellent for planning ahead. I appreciate you, bro. Manny said, what Ethereum dropped down to, would you say? We just covered that. Manny said, yeah, September should be a drop. I mean, it was on the last 4-year cycle, right? One thing I will say, Manny, is, and this is what I was stressing before, was that, yes, we have things to go off of, right? But you have to remember that maybe time frames could be a little different, could be a little off, right? For this time around is what the only thing I would say. So, if you're expecting 100% a drop down in September, maybe it comes, in August, right? Maybe it comes a little bit before September or something like that, So I wouldn't really focus on exact time, right? I would just, we're going to keep an eye on the market. There will be signs, right? There will be signs. One of them will be the fear and greed index. As far as maybe a potential local top. Right now we're in greed, right? Usually when you see a blow off top or some kind of a local top we'll usually be in some kind of an extreme greed situation where the market is just oversaturated, overbought. There's going to be some profit taking, whether it be very short term or not. Right now we're sitting in a great spot where we are in greed, right? We're in greed, but we're not anywhere near extreme greed yet. We're at a good position where Ethereum could easily continue to move. Bitcoin can easily continue to move. Our alts can continue to move. And I think we have so much more room to move before we even get anywhere near extreme greed or even looking for some kind of a local top, right? So all in all, things look great. Ethereum sitting at 3,800 dominance, looking like it wants to come down and test that 60% mark. We're in such a great position right now, guys. I mean, I can't explain it. It seems like all the stars are aligning, right? It's just like some of us are kind of just like looking like, this is just too good to be true, right? For right now, that's why I say expect, the unexpected. We could always see somewhat of a small drawdown, right? Just to kind of fake, the weak hands out, stuff like that, like we saw in 2021 around September. So, Punk, what's going on? Did I say something? No, Diddy, what did I say? I didn't even catch it this time, bro. Gina said, still on vacation. Can you please check ALI when you get a chance? I missed last night's stream. We'll go back and watch. Yeah, Gina, please. I encourage you to go back and just while you're, chilling on vacation, if you get like a Bluetooth speaker, just put it in your ear and listen to everything that we talked about last night. Gina wants to pull up ALI, and then we're going to cover some bullish news, guys. We're going to cover some bullish news here. So ALI, if you guys are familiar, this is a low cap AI project that's on Ethereum-based project. You can see right now we had this consolidation, right, for the last few weeks, if not the last month or two. A nice move towards the upside the other day. We were talking about this. Nice little, 135% move. Nothing crazy, right? Nice move towards the upside. Obviously, this area, it went a little bit above, but we'll still call it a nice spot for some resistance at around that 92, 93 area. As of now, just like ALI always does, is there's always going to be a big retracement, right? Small cap project, you're going to see these massive fluctuations where it doesn't take much for it to jump up. People are going to take profits. It doesn't take much for it to come down. But the difference is, on this one at least, is it looks like ALI is trying to find some support. And it looks like this, nice little move towards the upside. Yes, it did retrace, but it's holding a lot of its gains. And it looks like on the daily, it's been making higher lows as it continues to move. So, looks good. I will say with ALI, as long as Ethereum is doing fantastic, you're probably going to see ALI probably having great days as well. So, but always expect dramatic moves with this project, right? And I mean towards the up and towards the down, just because the market cap is $30 million. It's a very small cap project that, like I said, doesn't take much for this thing to start shooting up or down. So let's jump into a couple things here I wanted to talk about. A couple things. ZBCN flip. Price rockets 15% as ZBEC network ecosystem posts a strong June performance. So if you guys are familiar, ZBEC, right? Love this project. I am very heavily invested in this project. I definitely love this project. This is basically a small cap, and I say small cap, it's under $300 million. We'll actually pull it up on CoinMarketCap here. There it is right there. So you're talking about a market cap. Okay, market cap's around 314 million. So a little bit higher than I was saying, 314 million, but still such a small market cap, right? And this project, what it basically does, and I'll read it off real fast just so I can explain it a little bit better. But ZBEC is the decentralized infrastructure network for real-world value flows. Founded in 2021, ZBEC has attracted 35 million in investments by Circle, right? Circle, Coinbase, Solana Ventures, Brayer Capital, Republic, and Lightspeed Venture Partners, among others. From its origins in continuous settlement protocol, ZBEC has consolidated multiple protocols and integrated a portfolio of blockchain-enabled RWA, real-world asset payments, payroll, and retail products into an interconnected and interoperable infrastructure network on a path to become a full-fledged financial infrastructure powerhouse. So, to simplify it, it's basically, this is just like something like you would think with XRP, right? XRP wants to be, it's basically a big banking, kind of, coin. Well, this is basically a payment token that is on the Solana network, right? That has accumulated a lot of companies that already have $50,000, $100,000, 100,000 users that are already using certain systems like MasterCard, right? And other of these companies, right, that already are basically established, that have, like I said, thousands and thousands of users that are basically integrating onto the ZBEC network. Me personally, like I said, I'm very invested in this project. I think this has so much potential, right, for RWA in the future, as of now and moving on into the future. And I think this right here is one of those hidden gems that a lot of people know about, but maybe a lot of people don't, right? So just reading in, so ZBEC network price is up 15% in the past 24 hours, rising alongside a broader rally in the altcoin market after consolidating within a narrow range between 0.00310 and 0.0380. ZBEC price briefly dipped below support last night. However, the swift rebound suggests the move was likely a false breakout, shaking out weaker hands before the current surge. And you can see they basically have a box here. I do have a ZBEC. Let me see here. Where's my ZBEC? There it is. Let's see. Let's pull up our chart. So almost the same thing as what they have on their chart. We have an area which is basically on the chart. You can see it's on the fib. I think this is the 618 or the 0.5. I have to zoom out to see. That's the 0.5. Yep. So you can see a nice W pattern that's formed on ZBEC, right? You have the one drop, second drop, higher low as well, right? And then also on top of that, you can see that ZBEC is coming up to retest certain levels, right? Obviously, this is a big consolidation box, also a spot where we have a lot of resistance. And in the last like week or two, maybe 2 weeks ago, we've come up to retest these areas, which is basically in the higher 30 levels right here. Every time we pretty much have been rejected, we're back up. Looks like we found some support at the 618, which is around the 32, and we're going to continue to probably retest these areas, which, like I always tell you guys, if we keep retesting these areas, we're most likely going to have a nice little breakout for ZBEC coming up. So let me see here. So ZBEC's price rally appears to be bolstering by strong fundamentals across the ZBEC network ecosystem, as highlighted in its June 2025 volume report. ZBEC's network payroll volume surged to $43 million monthly. On the consumer side, ZBEC cards, including black, silver, and carbon tiers, saw $52 million in rolling 4-week volume, a 7% increase, with nearly 11,900 cards now issued across 97 countries. You see that? 12,000 of their freaking debit cards, I don't know if it's debit or credit cards, that ZBEC actually controls, right, have now been issued across almost 100 countries, guys. Do you hear this? I'm telling you, you always thought, when you didn't know anything about cryptocurrency, right? And I hate saying cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency, this right here is a cryptocurrency, right? It's basically taking and integrating the payment system, right, of crypto. And this is what I think down the line is a big sector that's going to draw in a lot of money. That's why XRP has such a bright future ahead of it as well, right? Because they're already ahead of the game, but they're more towards like the banking sector, stuff like that. This right here is more of the payment sector. So according to ZBEC team, this growth follows the successful onboard of users from Science Card UK, this was a company that they bought, into the ZBEC card ecosystem, along with new payroll client acquisitions in the US, adding to the platform's momentum. And we're going to end what we're talking about here, but ZBEC, its roots are actually over in Europe, right? But they're starting to integrate now into the US as well, tapping into the US market. So I think big things are to come. Gina said, is it too late to get into ZBEC? I don't think so. I honestly do not think so. Gina, the only thing I would say about ZBEC is just keep an eye out there, because like I said, there's always going to be dips, right? We could easily come back down towards this 32 level, which would be around the 618. I would potentially look for 32 or below to start accumulating. This, to me, my opinion, not financial advice, is a long-term project. And I say long-term as in, maybe we hold on to this, I don't want to say for the next few years, whatever the case is, because if you are thinking 4-year cycle, in the next 5 months, potentially at some point we're going to be topping out in the market. That's long-term for me, what I'm thinking, right? So this could easily see a surge where $300 million market cap, we could easily jump up to a few $1 billion down the road. But I do think that as time goes, this will probably still be around, in the next years to come as they continue to build. And I wouldn't be surprised that this thing eventually breaks above $1 billion and stays above $1 billion at some point. So, but to answer your question, I don't think that it's too late at all. Excuse me. Another bullish article. Institutions drive $4 trillion crypto market wave as DC moves. Let's see here. So a relentless wave of optimism is sweeping the nearly $4 trillion crypto market, driven by a frenzy of Washington policies moves, accelerating its assimilation into regulated finance. The passage of a landmark stablecoin law and broader legislation momentum have injected new legitimacy into a sector, lifting prices and rekindling risk appetite across digital assets. So they're saying basically that retail is starting to FOMO in, right? So signs of retail re-engagement are resurfacing. Coinbase's app surged to the 5th place in Apple Finance category. You hear this? Coinbase. What have I told you guys? We talked about this on the members only stream yesterday. You're going to start seeing stuff like this where retail, what are the first, when you first jumped into crypto, what did you download first? I know we're all going to have different answers. Tell me in the chat. When you first jumped into crypto, what was the first, how did you first buy your first crypto, right? Your first project that you bought. I'll tell you my story, not the full story because I know everybody freaking knows my story, right? And I know some of you guys are like, please, Crypt, not again. Bill, what's going on, bro? TJ said Voyager. Okay. Well, majority in the States, right? And I'm talking about in the States. Maybe it's different in certain areas across the world, right? But in the States, you're most likely going to see people buying Coinbase, like Punk said, right? You're most likely going to see people buying, or not buying, but downloading Robinhood, right? Binance. Those are going to be your 3 big, and I think this time around, Crypto.com, right? Webull, right? You're going to see a lot of these bigger tier central exchanges. They're going to be in the headlines of their app number 1 in Apple for this week, right? Google searches. How do I buy crypto? If you look at Google searches right now, it's already starting, right? This is right here, the first kind of flags that we're seeing that retail is starting to get interest again, right? Remember, retail is going to be our exit liquidity. Retail is going to be the money that is going to send all the altcoins to some crazy numbers because they're going to start FOMOing in, right? So Coinbase's app surged to the 5th place in Apple's finance category, up from the 25th a month earlier. You hear that? They're number 5 right now in Apple's downloaded. Just a month ago, 4 weeks ago, they were 25th, right? They've done a 5x in just the last couple weeks. If we can continue this momentum, where do you think they're going to be in the next few weeks, the next few months? They're most likely going to be the top 1, 2, or 3 in Apple, right? We're not even talking about Google or anything like that as of now. So let's see here. According to the data tracker Sensor Tower, Google searches, they even pull up Google searches. So Google searches for Bitcoin is climbing. Telegram groups and Discord forums saw sprinted activity during Washington's Crypto Week, which was last week. A highly choreographed policy blitz that culminated in President Trump's signing of the first major U.S. stablecoin framework into law. That spike in visibility, however, belies a more complex picture of who's actually driving flows. While consumer interest is returning, the rally hold on here. I can get this here. Architecture. All right, there we go. Haven't said that word in a while. The rally's architecture is distinctly institutional, right? So large private holders, those controlling 10,000 Bitcoin or more, are acquiring roughly 47,000 tokens ahead of Bitcoin's all-time high of about 123,000 on July 14th. A 10x research data shows. Since then, these substantial holders have begun to unwind positions, contributing to a pullback to around 118K. Much of the re-engagement started about a month ago after stablecoin issuer Circle Internet Group bolsters June's initial public offering. So that really not a big deal. We're seeing obviously the institutions are taking profits on Bitcoin when it hit all-time highs. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those institutions are starting to FOMO in on Ethereum right now. Such a smaller market cap, a lot of buzz around Ethereum. So, but the main topic of all this is retail, right? Retail is starting to show signs that they're starting to focus again, right? They're starting to get interested on Bitcoin in the crypto space, and they're going to start FOMOing in, right? And when you see that happening, I say this all the time, where do you think they're going to be coming in and buying, right? They're going to come in, they're going to buy Bitcoin, right? I think very small chunk of them will come in and buy Bitcoin, the real conservative, newer investors. They're definitely going to come in, they're going to buy Ethereum, right? Because it's a little bit more easier on the eyes. We talk about this all the time. You know, if you're a new investor, you come in, you just downloaded your Coinbase or your Robinhood, right? You're looking at what you can buy. And Bitcoin is at 120K. Yeah, you can buy a fraction. You can buy a Satoshi or two, right, of Bitcoin. Or maybe you can buy half an Ethereum, right? A little bit, feel like you got more power there, right? Or maybe you can buy a shit ton of Dogecoin. Now you're talking, right? Maybe I can buy a few Solana. Maybe I can buy a bunch of XRP. Maybe I can buy a bunch of Floki, right? You get the gist? As new investors, most of them are going to come in and they're going to look. They don't I say this respectfully, but they don't understand the circulating supply. They don't see the market cap. You know, majority of them, right? They're not looking at any of that stuff. They're looking at their buying power, right? So if John comes in, and I'm not talking about any John that we know, but if John comes in and he's buying, or he's ready to buy, he's ready to go all in on crypto, and he downloads Robinhood. I don't know what Robinhood has nowadays as far as what they hold. I know they hold a lot more than when I had Robinhood. Robinhood was my first central exchange that I bought or that I downloaded because I was there to buy Dogecoin back in 2020, right? At 2 and 3 cents at the time. John's going to come in and he has $1,000 and he's going to be like, shit, I can get 0.025 of Ethereum. I can buy a 0.00007 of Bitcoin. Shit, I can buy what? I can get 20,000 Dogecoin? What do you think he's going to buy, right? What do you think he's going to buy? He's going to most likely, he's going to buy that Dogecoin, right? Because he's looking at it as I'm getting a lot more bang for my buck, right? And that's how retail investors, we've all been there, right? And I'm not talking anything on them, right? I don't think John's making a bad investment or anything like that. I'm just explaining to you how the newer investor tends to think when they come into the space, right? Now you talk about John downloading Coinbase. Now he has a shit ton of stuff that he can buy, right? Same thing. Maybe he starts looking. He's like, he bought Doge. He's looking for other meme coins because his buddy, just made 10 grand off of a meme coin, right? That's what we're going to see, right? That's what we're going to see a lot of retail investors come in and do. So that's why you're going to see a lot of money just continuously flowing into the altcoin sector. But at the same time, Bitcoin staying at a solid level. So, yeah, I know Punk. I know Robinhood holds. I know they have. I'm just gonna throw it out. I'm pretty sure they have like 10 or 15 projects now that you can buy. And they have their own DeFi wallet, if I'm not mistaken, right? I haven't been on Robinhood in a while, but I'm pretty sure they've stepped their game up. They had to, right? They were slumped over for a while the last couple of years because a lot of people were just like, not interested in getting Robinhood because they didn't offer a lot. So, Flip said Ethereum's moving. She is, bro. She is moving. We're looking at the daily too. Let's pull up the hourly. She is moving, bro. We'll keep an eye on it as we continue. Bill said Ricky was calling for us to come down, which is a new altcoin season indicator that is very exciting. Craig said, I hope I have the right coins. John will buy Turbo. You know what, bro? Let's pull up Turbo real quick and see what exchanges Turbo's on. Right? Let's see what exchanges Turbo's on. Because you know what? I know you're being like you're somewhat being, funny, but also being, like hopeful, right? I mean, bro, listen. I'm going to give you some good hopium on Turbo. Turbo's market cap is at 394 million. It's a solid market cap, but look at the freaking exposure that Turbo has, right? It's an Ethereum-based project, right, which is great, but it's also trading on the top exchanges. So the scenario that we talked about, Binance, Coinbase, right? I think Turbo might even be, isn't Turbo on Robinhood as well? I'll have to look. If someone can correct me. Flip, I know you're pretty good on Turbo. I think Turbo is on Robinhood, if I'm not mistaken. But the point being that look at this. This meme coin, Crypto.com, KuCoin, MEXC, Coinbase, Binance, they're on everything. They're on everything. They're not on Robinhood. Okay. They're not on Robinhood, but they're on everything else, right? So this is going to give so much exposure to a project like Turbo, right? Where maybe Turbo right now, you can see it's consolidating. It's not really doing too much. It is up on the monthly 70%, right? I talked to somebody the other day. It's on Robinhood Futures. Okay. I was like, I could have sworn I remember us covering some article. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, Turbo's not doing anything. And I was like, really? I was like, because I'm not invested in Turbo, but I know Flip and a few other people talk about it all the time. And they're like, Turbo's not really doing much. And I was like, well, let's see. And I pull up the monthly. I'm like, bro, it's up 70%. Like, yes, I understand you're looking at some other projects that are up 70% in the day. I was like, bro, this thing is up 70% and holding. It's consolidating right now, right? You have all this bullish stuff right here. It's on Binance, on Coinbase. It's on everything right now. What do you think Turbo is going to do when we're absolutely ripping, and we're officially in altcoin season? What do you think Turbo is going to do? It's probably going to easily skyrocket and break that $1 billion mark. I think it already has at some point, right? It's gotten close. It's gone up to about $880 million. So it hasn't broke the $1 billion mark yet, but I would probably bet a lot of my portfolio that Turbo is going to probably break $1 billion, right? It has everything going for it. So yeah. So Turbo, I know like Craig was saying, I know you're being honest, but you're also joking around, but I honestly, they probably will be buying in on Turbo, to be honest with you, bro. So Punk said you can buy many different cryptos on the wallet compared to regular Robinhood. Hell yeah, that's what I know. And I mean, them opening up the DeFi wallets, I don't know, can you swap from ecosystems on their DeFi? Like Crypto.com, one thing is if you download the DeFi wallet, your DeFi wallet, right? It's a separate app. It's not Crypto.com. It's Crypto.com's DeFi wallet, right? So it's a separate app. But you can swap from ecosystems, right? They have, I think, like 10 different ecosystems where you basically have 10 different wallets on that DeFi. You have Solana, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, you have, you can go down the list, Sui, right? Base, I believe they're on Base as well, which is Coinbase's ecosystem, which is a layer 2 on Ethereum. Like they have a bunch of different, so you can use that DeFi wallet for a one-stop shop if you'd like for multiple ecosystems. So I'm sure they're probably around the same thing. Punk said, can we look at Nitro on Ethereum, another frog? Yeah, we'll pull that up. I'll pull it up real quick for you, bro. I want to cover a couple other things real quick because I know you guys have a full day ahead of you and you need to go. So Nitro. you said Nitro on Ethereum, right? So, I mean, looking at Nitro, let's pull it up. Pulled up a quick little fib retracement. So, looking at the numbers real fast, market cap's at 3 million, liquidity $250,000, not looking bad. It's been out for about 6 months. Volume, to be honest, I'm going to be 100 with you, bro. Volume is a little bit lagging, right? It's a little bit down, in my opinion. I mean, it's not to where it's at a scary level, but 117 wallets trading on this. This is on Uniswap with only $87,000 in volume. A little on the lower side, right, for a multi-million-dollar project, in my opinion, right? So just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean that it's not going to go crazy, down the road. I'm just saying right now, it doesn't look like there's a lot of traders, that are trading the project, right? You have 4,200 holders, right? 4,200 people that are holding the project right now. Not too bad. As far as the fib retracement, you can see you have support somewhere around the 786, which is around that 5049 area. You have dropped below a little bit. Below the bottom, on the local bottom, is somewhere around the 43 level, right, with 5 zeros in front of it. Nice little support level right there, and you can see as of now, you guys have been coming up, and basically you're hovering right under that 618. So that is a good sign right there. Like I always tell you guys, you see how it keeps coming up, and it keeps it keeps retesting that 618 area, which is around the 87 area. If it continues to do this, it's most likely going to break above, right? So this is what you want to see. You had that support. Now you're seeing it. It's basically trying to break to the next level up, which is, like I said, the 618 at around the 87. So it looks good. I would say you're probably not going to break above until you can get some solid volume coming into the project. And in stuff like this, sometimes projects, they look like this where, it's not like massive fluctuations in prices. There's not a lot of volume coming in right this second. But, down the road, as Ethereum, I think, continues to just start breaking out, you're going to see a lot of people that are going to flow into Ethereum's ecosystem. And you're going to see a lot of these meme coins that are on Ethereum start, picking up speed. Same thing for Solana. Solana already has massive. Solana's the number one ecosystem as far as like volume. But I think Ethereum is going to start, picking back up like crazy. If it hasn't already, we can actually look right now. Solana in a 24-hour period is around $11.4 billion in volume. Ethereum is around $2.4 billion in volume. So you see the difference. Solana is just, it's massive. It's massive. Solana did so well with having people just come and build on their ecosystem. Solana, if you're meme coins, Solana's got it on pack right now, right? But I think Ethereum's going to slowly but surely start picking back up. I mean, $2.5 billion on a 24-hour period is still phenomenal, right? Point of what I'm getting to is a project like you just brought up. That will probably pick up speed. It'll probably pick up speed. Just keep an eye out on the volume on the daily and stuff like that. You want to see the volume pick up. That's going to tell you that a lot of interest is coming in on the project. So, let's see here. So, breaking news as of an hour ago. Trump Media has bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related securities. Trump's company, now remember, it's not him, it's Trump's media, right? Because he can't invest in anything while he's in office, but his companies can, right, for him. And you follow the big money, and you see they just bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related securities. So that's a big move right there. Another one. MicroStrategy. This was as of earlier. MicroStrategy just bought 6,200 freaking more Bitcoin, totaling $740 million, guys. $740 million. The big money is still accumulating like crazy, right? You thought it was, maybe going to slow down. It's not. They are still buying like crazy. Even right now, while Bitcoin is sitting at $118,700. So it shows you big money is still coming in. I wanted to, Tom Lee was back on CNBC. I want to watch this article real quick. It's only 40 seconds. So I know your attention span is very, very short. But let's watch this real quick.
here we are 120 basically on Bitcoin, which you used to say at 70, and you know that was a 60% move or something that you were forecasting as within the next couple of months, or at least this year. Here we are now, what, 150?
I think the 200 to 250,000 for Bitcoin still makes sense because
you hear that? $250,000 in Bitcoin. Bitcoin might double in price
because that would still only value it at 25% of the size of the gold market.
Okay.
So I think digital gold means Bitcoin should be worth over $1 million per Bitcoin, and it could happen in the next few years. But maybe pricing 25% of that, especially with Genius Act, makes sense.
Are you going to...
You guys hear that? Tom Lee, whether you like him or not, I don't know anybody that doesn't like him. The guy's pretty, shoots straight. He called out Ethereum literally 3 weeks ago, and we broadcasted on a channel. He was calling that Ethereum was about to start breaking out. Ethereum starts breaking out, right? My boy, during the dips, the last few months has been saying, buy the dips. This is all short-term pain. Short-term pain. The market recovers, right, to make all-time highs, not only in Bitcoin, but the stock market as well. And now he's saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin hits 200 to 250,000 during this cycle. He wasn't saying in 10 years. He was saying during this cycle, right? We could possibly be seeing Bitcoin doubling its price in the next few months potentially. Think about how much money is going to be flowing in. If Bitcoin doubles in price, where do you think Ethereum's going to go, right? We could be seeing a $10,000 easily Ethereum. Easily, right? So things are looking good, right? Things look great. Let's see here. Look, fun fact. I'm just reading this. Fun fact, Flip. El Salvador's national treasury now owns 6,200 Bitcoin worth $740 million. That's awesome. But isn't it crazy that Michael Saylor makes a small purchase and literally buys what the country of El Salvador owns all at once? He buys in one purchase. That just shows you how much money Michael Saylor has been, not him, but his company has been basically buying as far as with Bitcoin. So look at this. This is hilarious. Bitcoin is just a fad, right? And this shows you an article from like 1990 something, right? And it shows you this is an article from December 5th, 2000, right? Internet may be just a passing fad as millions give up on it. Could you imagine being the bozo that actually wrote this article? Absolutely crazy. And they're basically showing you that this is what people have been saying about Bitcoin for how long? How long have they been saying this about Bitcoin? I have people close to me that were saying this, and now they're literally coming to me and asking me about crypto and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I keep quiet. Like I help, but I try to keep quiet because I'm just like, you were the same person that was telling me that crypto was a scam 5 years ago when I was telling you that I'm all in on crypto and stuff like that. So it's just a great time to be alive, guys. It really is a great time to be alive as of now. Bitcoin right now just broke above 119,000. So before we leave, some key levels. I'm going to post this chart right here. I'm giving you guys the sauce. I'm going to post it in the chat if you haven't already. This is my official TradingView chart, right? You aren't going to be able to do anything on the chart as far as like any altercations. But if I make any changes, you actually can see it live on your chart, and you can use this with your charts that you use on your TradingView. But you can see this is one of my official Bitcoin charts. I have a lot of levels already mapped out as far as support, resistance. I have this trend line that we have right now that we basically have been either being supported by, or it has been acting as some slight resistance as of now. The point of what I'm getting to is I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin continues to move. For today, we're going to come up and retest this 119,400 level, somewhere around there. We might break above, right? We did break earlier, but you can see we're testing this trend line. At some point, we're probably going to break above the trend, but for now, it is acting like some spot of some resistance as of now. So I did just pin this chart on the chat. So if you guys want, feel free. It's free. I don't make any money off of it or anything like that. I'm just giving you the sauce on one of the charts that I use for Bitcoin. So, and then Ethereum right now is sitting at around 3,850. We're looking good, guys. Like I said, key level that we're really looking for as far as resistance is going to be the 4,100 area, and the key level for support is going to be two areas. First, the most bullish scenario is going to be that 37. If we do retrace, 37 is the 236. That's going to be the level that we're looking for some support. And then below that, if we do break the trend line that we have, is the 3,650, 3,640, somewhere around that area is what we're looking for if the 236 does not hold, right? So those are your key levels. I'll post this chart as well for Ethereum. I can only pin one thing at a time. So you have the Bitcoin pinned to the top, and that's your Ethereum chart. If you guys want to save that, like I said, you won't be able to make any changes. It's my chart, but if I make any changes, you'll see it, and also you can kind of use it as a point of reference on what I use as far as with my trading and stuff like that for this. And then real quick, just pulling back up dominance just to refresh, and look at that, guys. We just continue to keep moving down. I'll give you my dominance chart as well. Let's see here, copy link. And there you go. There's my dominance chart as well. So you have my Bitcoin chart that's pinned. You have the Ethereum, which is the second link. And then you have the third link, which is Bitcoin dominance, right? And again, you're not going to be able to make any changes, right? But you can use these charts. This is what I have. If you come out and look on the daily, right? You click on your daily, you can see this trend that we finally broke below. That's a 2-year trend that we've been running as far as with dominance. So next big spot that we're looking for as far as support, hopefully we break below it, is going to be around that 60% for dominance. So, but that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much it. We covered pretty much everything that we need to. Other than that, with real quick, with DeFi, we didn't really cover much in DeFi, but it looks like a lot of projects are doing really well in DeFi. Nothing too crazy. Billy, Flip, if you're still here, Billy's up about 15% as of now, so not looking bad. Maniki, I know Ricky's somewhere laughing right now because I told him I sold my freaking Maniki, and now it's up. It's been moving in the last few days. It's been moving. Mask, a big meme coin that I am in right now, is up about 10%. It was actually up like 25% as of earlier, having a little bit of a cool off. So DeFi is not looking bad as well. I think DeFi a little bit lagged behind the normal crypto space, but it will start picking up even more. And a lot of these meme coins that are at like $10 million are going to jump up to 100 million fast. So a lot of money to be made, guys. Make sure if you guys are new here, please, I beg of you, if you're watching this after the fact, all I ask, hit the like and hit the subscribe. Please. You hitting that like helps me out. I just sat here for an hour and talked crypto, right? If you hit the like, it helps. It really does, because I notice when I get more likes, we start getting more people coming on to the channel. We're trying to keep the channel lively. We're trying to build the channel, so that's all I ask. Please hit that like, hit the subscribe, and if you're really feeling froggy and you want to come to the trenches with us and also get some exclusive content that we do cover a lot more in detail, hit the join button. It's under $5, and if you come to the trenches with us, you might make that $5 off of just one of the streams whenever we go in, because we do a lot of live trading on the members only stream. So, but it is fast. I can't guarantee that you're going to make money, right? But it's fun, and we kill it sometimes. So hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the join, hit all three of them. And with that being said, guys, I will see each and every one of you guys either later on, or we'll be back here tomorrow. All right, guys? Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic Monday. Grind, get that money, and keep watching the charts. All right, guys? See ya.